Hey guys, how's it going? And thanks for coming. I'm Nick, and this is Real Life Money, where we talk about real life and money, because schools aren't, so let's get started. So, have you guys heard of Bitcoin recently? Do you have any idea what's going on? Do you know what Bitcoin is? You heard cryptocurrency. Is it gonna crash just because it's been doing crazy for the past year? Well, for this video, I'm basically just going over the fundamentals of what's going on with Bitcoin, maybe some things that people are talking about, and a huge thing is it going to crash very soon? Just because it's basically a straight line up every day is very, very volatile, but a lot of people are talking about it. Now let me first put it out there that I am a third-party person. I'm not for Bitcoin. I'm not against Bitcoin. I'm just watching to see what it is, because it definitely is interesting, and I'm kind of just stating what's going on with it. I'm not attacking it at all. It's just a very popular topic. If I'm investing in Bitcoin, I'll let you know at the end after I go over everything. But let's first talk about what Bitcoin is. Obviously, I'm just going to talk fundamentals here. This is actually a digital currency. Bitcoin is, you're able to exchange it between two parties, especially with exchanging, and you could buy and sell it. So if someone is willing to buy your Bitcoin for more than you paid for it, that's why the price is going up. Now, this type of currency is called cryptocurrency, and Bitcoin is one of the popular cryptocurrencies. Also, crypto, there's a bunch of different terms out there, but Bitcoin is definitely the most popular. There's also Ethereum, I believe it's called, and also Litecoin. The crazy part is everyone is talking about it. Just investors, if you look on Yahoo Finance, any type of financial website, their news, even in my personal life, friends are talking about it, coworkers are talking about it, people that don't normally invest are talking about it. You even see it on YouTube ads. So the platform that a lot of people use to deal with Bitcoin is Coinbase. That is one of the ways that people are able to buy, sell, exchange, that type of stuff. There are a wider range of views. There are haters of Bitcoin that they just want it to crash, burn, and get destroyed. And others are very, very for it. Very, this is of the future. And you're stupid if you invest in nothing else. So I see a lot of extremes on both sides, and then people are very, very curious. So next, guys, I want to start showing you some charts of Bitcoin, just because it is very cool to look at. But this is of Coinbase from their site. You can see here, while I took this picture, this is when they were in the 14,000 mark. They were well over 17,000 a few days ago. But for Coinbase, I heard that they actually crashed last week due to the amount of people that were using it, trading, new users of it, and just the sheer volume of activity. So you could see with the chart toward November 29th, so late November, early December, you could see it was slowly moving up, and then there was a dip. So that dip is when their platform went down. This slightly caused a little bit of hectic things going on with Bitcoin. And this is important because you could see, if it is going to crash later on or isn't it going to crash. But there was a little fear there. People simply weren't able to trade it. They couldn't sell out of it if they wanted to sell it, or they couldn't buy it if they wanted to. But of course, if you looked at the chart, nothing really mattered because it just skyrocketed afterward. Looking at the year-to-date chart, you can see it is just skyrocketed recently. Yesterday, a few days ago, it was definitely well over 17,000. I think it touched 18, possibly pushing 19,000. So very volatile. But for the year, as of this picture, you can see it's up 1,800%. At one point, when it was around the 18,000 mark, it was over 2,000% in the last year. And of course, all time, you could see that huge spike recently. So obviously just from that spike alone, a lot of people are skeptical of viewing it as a bubble just to the sheer growth of it very quickly. So if we compare Bitcoin to stocks, we could see first with the Dow Jones Industrial Average for the year to date is 23% for the year 24, well over 24,000 right now. But, compared to Bitcoin, that's pathetic. Another index that everyone looks at, the S&P 500, again, that's up 18%. And these numbers, for average year, an average year could be maybe like 7 to 10% for the stock market. So this year in stocks were incredible. It was like well over double the average, did phenomenal. But with these numbers, Bitcoin makes stocks look so pathetic. Like you would have to be an idiot to invest in stocks rather than Bitcoin, because that type of return in the stock market was 20%. Bitcoin could move that in like a day. But just remember, guys, if you are investing in it, what goes up, could it come down? A lot of people are questioning, can it crash? There was a crash in 2000, the dotcom bubble. We saw that with tech stocks. Things were skyrocketing. Internet was the new thing. Like, it could never come down from here. And guess what? It crashed. Same thing with 2008, the Great Recession. There was that real estate bubble. Same idea. It popped, crashed when people were very optimistic, and then a bunch of fear just came out of nowhere. So the big question is Bitcoin the next crash? The dot-com, you got the real estate. I could definitely tell you that there are a bunch of new investors. I noticed it seems like a lot of millennials, new investors, are getting into Bitcoin. Definitely more risky players. With more risk comes more reward, right? And not only those types of investors are getting into it, but also I believe hedge funds are getting into it. Just because of the crazy gains, everyone wants a bit of Bitcoin. So let's talk a little bit about Warren Buffett and what he thinks of Bitcoin. One of his quotes that I go by a lot is, you should be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. Warren Buffett talked a little bit about Bitcoin, and he sees it very tulip-like. And for anyone who kind of studied into finance and about bubbles and stuff like that, I think it was hundreds of years ago, not sure what year, but definitely happened far past the future. But tulips were going through a bubble. There was it might have been like a special color tulip that looked cool or whatever, and people were paying, premium high prices for this. And then all of a sudden, I think it was something with the soil or whatever. Then one year, they just stopped producing these tulips, and then people realized that they're just flowers and they weren't worth that much, and then that bubble popped, so whoever paid that much for those tulips got ripped off. So Warren Buffett is definitely not an investor of Bitcoin. He's more of a stock guy. However, another famous person, investor, businessman is Mark Cuban. He's on Shark Tank, and he actually talked a little bit about Bitcoin. He says to invest at maximum, I think he said, of 5% of your money. Don't put all your money into it, but it definitely is interesting. So he would say 5% just because it can have some very good future growth. You could see a bunch of different views from different people. Some people see a lot of future growth from it, and some people think it's just trendy in a phase type of thing. So let me show you this chart. This is comparing Bitcoin to the dot-com bubble. This came out a few months ago, so the price of Bitcoin has skyrocketed past this since, but kind of want to give you the idea of what, definitely compared to the dot-com bubble, of what that looked like. So if you believe a bubble is just enormous growth out of nowhere in a very, very short amount of time, then yes, you can see Bitcoin as a bubble just because its growth is just explosive. Thousands of percent. People are saying like in 2018 it could hit 40,000. I could definitely see it hitting at least 20,000 by the end of the year. But it's just crazy. The big question is what could actually pop this bubble, if it is even a bubble. But we're seeing, if something bad happens with Bitcoin, we saw that Coinbase, there was that little crash there. Also, I noticed that there was a hack against, I think it was Coinbase as well, that they, either it was from their platform or from users, that they lost $60 million worth of Bitcoin. Now, compared to the market cap, Bitcoin's market cap, the total amount being traded on the market is like huge. It's like over the valuation of Disney, over like Coca-Cola, over Visa, like these huge names. So what could actually pop this thing, if it is a bubble, I'm saying? Well, first is if maybe another type of crypto gets hurt. Maybe not Bitcoin, but let's say Ethereum or Litecoin. If they get hurt in any situation, Bitcoin holders, they'll get emotional seeing like, oh, that could happen with Bitcoin, and then they'll sell out. Now, a crash happens when if one guy sells out, that causes someone else to sell out, and that fearfulness and scared makes other people scared, and they sell out, so it just continues to sell, and sell. So a bubble could pop with possible security issues. Of course, with that little crash there, the liquidity, maybe if hacking continues with Bitcoin, it could create more negative, more fearfulness. I also think I heard of somewhere that Wall Street was trying to figure out a way how to short Bitcoin. And what shorting means is basically betting on something to go down. So if they actually find out a way to do that, similar with, dotcom bubble and just the real estate bubble, they were kind of finding out ways to manipulate an investment. So if there's short selling going on, that could cause even more selling. So it could continue like that. Now I kind of have a prediction, guys. If it is a bubble, I'm not saying it is, I kind of leaning toward it just because of the growth. But I wanted to show you this chart again. You could see how it skyrockets, then it kind of dips a little bit, and then it continues to skyrocket. I kind of predict that it's going to do that because when there is a sell-off, there is a little bit of panic, people sell, but then they buy back. They're buying the dip to get at a lower price, and then it just simply goes higher than that. Now, for the future of not only Bitcoin but cryptocurrency, I remember hearing the Fed talking about they might create their own cryptocurrency. It's definitely like early stages. They're probably not, if they are going to do it, they're like nowhere near trying to do it yet. But just the idea of the Fed even talking about it is crazy for the future. And I know with, I believe it is called BitConnect, of how, I guess, what Bitcoin uses or how it runs off of. But just that idea of BitConnect could definitely be futuristic and create something even larger than it is today. For me personally, I am not investing in Bitcoin, and I probably never will invest in Bitcoin, just because it's purely based on supply and demand. If someone is going to pay more for Bitcoin than someone else, that's why the price keeps moving upward. And it's not a value producing asset. I know Warren Buffett said that once before, similar to gold. It technically doesn't do anything for anyone. It's just kind of sitting there. It's an asset. Versus like a company where it produces, revenues, it produces dividends, it produces, whatever. Versus just like a commodity. A commodity is just, if someone could pay more, they will, and that's how it goes up. So again, I'm just a third-party guy looking in, watching this interesting roller coaster of Bitcoin. I'm leaning toward it being a bubble. I'm not touching it, but for those of you who are, good luck with it. In the short term, by all means, in the short term, it probably is going up even higher, probably skyrocketing to like ridiculous numbers that we wouldn't even be able to imagine. I just see a lot of easy and quick money being made in a very short amount of time, and that's not the type of investor I am. I don't think that's really sustainable. If it is, good for the investors in Bitcoin. What can I say? So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel, Real Life Money, where we talk about real life and money, because not many people do. So thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.